Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile, and this is the Kiwi Ears Ellipse, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank Linsoul Audio for providing the Kiwi Ears Ellipse for review. Greatly appreciate it. Linsoul Audio, you rock. Alright, so the Kiwi Ears Ellipse, this will set you back $75 from your bank account. It is a open back over-ear dynamic headphone. It has 50 millimeter dynamic drivers, 32 ohms of impedance, 98 decibels of sensitivity, and a frequency response range of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. The Kiwi Ears Ellipse comes in this blue box. You get some pictures, some information on the back, specs on one side, and then on the front here you have Live the Music. They also claim that these are made for monitoring and DJ headphones. So the unboxing experience of the Ellipse is very simple. You don't get a whole lot with it, no carrying case or anything like that. The only accessory that you get is this fabric cable. It is 3 meters long. It's well built. I'm quite impressed by this cable for the price point. You get a 3.5 inputs for the headphones, a nice plastic split, and then it terminates into a screw-on 1/4 inch adapter. You have 3.5 and then you screw on your 1/4 inch adapter. Overall, it's a nice cable and just a little bit on the long side. Nice and lightweight though, and it feels very well built and durable. I have no complaints about that cable whatsoever. And then you get the headphones. So the headphones are quite simple. You do get Kiwi Ear branding. Lots of padding up top. Metal yokes, a little plastic here to hold the headband in place. Cups are plastic as well. Metal yokes, it expands. Will fit a pretty decent sized noggin. And you can adjust it. I find them to be quite lightweight and they feel durable. They have a very subtle look to them. Nice big ear cups, nice and round. You can definitely get some fingers inside there. Plenty of room for ears to fit. Popping them on your head. Clamp force is nice and lightweight, but yet just clampy enough. I find them to be extremely comfortable, and I have no problems whatsoever using them for hours upon hours. I wore these for 4 to 6 hours at a time without any discomfort whatsoever. The isolation of outside noises is not really that good. These are open back headphones. Comparing them to some of the other open back headphones that I have in the office, these actually do isolate slightly better, but you can still hear everything going on. But they do dampen things a little bit more than some of the others, but nothing in comparison to like a closed back. And your music still does leak out of them quite a lot. The ear pads aren't the thickest, but they are nice and soft and cushy. And I find them to be extremely comfortable. On the bottom here, you have your 3.5 inputs for the cable. And I find that when I have the cable plugged in, that even though the terminations protrude quite a bit, they don't bother me on my shirt. They do have just enough of a length to them and spacing that they don't bother on my ears, but for some that could be a problem, but for me it is not. Overall, I find that Kiwi Ears has done a good job with a $75 budget of making these very comfortable and lightweight and also well built, even with their plastic cups and slightly metalled yokes. They seem to be quite durable, and I have no concerns with them breaking over time. The Kiwi Ears Ellipse, being 32 ohms of impedance and 98 decibels sensitivity, aren't the easiest headphone to drive. I did not have a problem using them with the Allen and Heath QU24 soundboard at church, and I had no problems using them with the desktop gear that you see behind me. Dongles was a little bit different. I found that some of the lower power dongles would get them to volume, but really wasn't driving them. And I found that the more powerful dongles did drive them accurately. So when you're not powering the Kiwi Ears Ellipse correctly, the bass becomes a little bit bloated and too thick and just sounds slow and sluggish. And the upper mids and treble region will sound very cave-like and will become a little bit glassy and glary and tinny sounding. And so they just do not sound really pleasurable on some dongles. Desktops and soundboards, I had no problem whatsoever. So they are slightly picky. One other thing of note is that the Kiwi Ears Ellipse really does a good job of representing and reproducing the presentation of your source. So if you have a source that is on the warmer side and has a little bit more thick and robust sound, the Kiwi Ears Ellipse is going to reflect that. And then if it's more of a neutral, natural presentation or something that has a little bit more brightness and hotness to it, the Ellipse is going to reveal that. So they do a very good job of revealing sources. Speaking of how they sound, the Kiwi Ears Ellipse has a very neutral and analytical presentation with a kiss of naturalism. The bass extends nicely into the sub bass. You get some rumble and grumble there, but it's not going to be the most emphatic and powerful of sub bass, but you're going to get some there when called upon in a track, and it's going to let you know, hey, there's some sub bass here. Mid bass is going to be more of the focus, and you have some nice punch and slam and kick, and it's going to keep the arms flailing and the toes tapping. It's a very engaging bass, but yet also very well controlled. And then the upper bass has a nice control as it goes into the lower mids, and there's enough of a presence there without being bloated or being too thick or too dominant and too present to impact the lower mids region. They meld together very nicely and play very well. The bass has a very cohesive, nice balance to it, and it stays very neutral and accurate. Overall, the tone and timbre of the Ellipse bass has a nice presence about it and sounds very natural and accurate, reproducing instruments and vocalists very well. And then the details and resolution also is very good. I was rather impressed at how controlled it is and how nicely it really responds to all the dynamics of the bass, and it's just a very engaging but yet neutral and bass response. Going into the mids have a nice neutral presence to them that does not have a lot of peaks and valleys. It's going to portray things as is, and it's very balanced and cohesive along with the bass, and they play very well together. I found that the mids have a natural reproduction, and nothing is fighting for attention. They all play very well together. Instruments and vocalists sound very natural and accurate, and the details and resolution in the bass in the mids are also very good. Just like the bass, it's very well controlled and has just this organic presentation about it. The tone and timbre just sounds very accurate and true. There's a nice body weight to it without sounding too full, too thick, and too bloated. And also the mids do not have a lot of forwardness to them. They stay very balanced and very well controlled, and they portray things accurately throughout your mix. Going into the treble has a little bit of elevation. There's a little bit of sparkle and energy and just a little bit more forthrightness than the mids and the bass have, but not enough to be too forward or too fatiguing or to be domineering of the mix. Going further into the uppers, there's nice air and space, good energy throughout, and it stays very well controlled. I found that the treble, just like the mids and the bass, has nice natural tone and timbre, and the detail retrieval and resolution is also very good. Some of the flaws that come up in sub $100 headphones tends to be resolution that is a bit on the gritty and grainy side, and also lacking in clarity. The Ellipse does a good job of not having those flaws. Kiwi Ears has done a good job of giving it good clarity and without being too bright and too hot and having too much of a undefined, unrefined, unfocused resolution. It does a good job with all of that. And I find that the bass, the mids, and the treble also play very well together, stay very neutral, and aren't fighting for attention, and none of them are too far forward in the mix to throw things off. Overall, Kiwi Ears has tuned the Ellipse to be a very neutral, balanced, and cohesive sound signature with nice details and resolution and accurate tone and timbre. The soundstage of the Kiwi Ears Ellipse won't wow you with its massive width. It's actually kind of surprising that it's a open back headphone and that it's a more natural presentation, and it kind of keeps things a little bit on the safer side. Sometimes open back headphones can sound a little too artificial and a little too blown out and a little too grand. And the Ellipse does a good job of keeping things very natural. And right here, everything is around you and envelops you accurately. Tracks things across the stage from side to side very well. It's not the most pinpoint, precise, laser perfect type of presentation when it comes to your imaging, but it's kind of right here. It does a good job of, it's right here, and then it can follow things across the stage. It does a good job with its depth. You can look into a stage nicely, and then layering within that depth is also very good. Things have their own space, their own spots, and they're not fighting for attention, and they all play very well together. It's a very cohesive soundstage. So even though it's not the most grand sounding and biggest, largest of stages, it does a good job of portraying differences in venue sizes from more intimate, excuse me, small, medium, and large. Do apologize for that. So the staging does a good job from small, medium, and large. Every now and then you'll get that big grand size, but it does good depth and layering, and the placement of things traveling across the stage is also excellent. Detail retrieval is also good for a $75 headphone. I wasn't wondering where things were, and if I was going to hear them, I did hear them. I wasn't exploring new things, and I wasn't really hearing things I've never heard before or rarely ever hear, but I was hearing everything that I needed to, and it was very well resolved, especially in the uppers where things tend to be on the budget side, tend to be a little bit gritty, grainy. Did not have that issue with the Ellipse. Tone and timbre is also very natural and accurate, representing and reproducing instruments and vocalists very naturally. It does a good job with timbre of instruments. You can differentiate between saxophones, clarinets, flutes, oboes, trumpets, trombones, baritones, cellos, violins, percussions, you name it. You can tell the differences in the instruments, and vocalists also do a very good job of sounding natural and accurate. So overall, the Kiwi Ears Ellipse, I like it. This $75 headphone has really impressed me at how well it does. It does have a few flaws. It's not the most detailed. It's not the widest of stages. And it's not the most precise and pinpoint when it comes to imaging. But for $75, I can't complain. It does a really good job with everything that it does, and it's very impressive in its build quality. So it's a DJ monitoring headphone. Would I use it in those use cases? Now, I'm not a DJ. The only DJing that I do is when a friend will come over and we'll listen to music and I'll change songs for them. So that's not really DJing. Monitoring. I do a lot of monitoring every Sunday at church and on Wednesdays at church and other times as well. And I would not use these as monitoring. Why? Because they're an open back headphone. I prefer using a closed back headphone for monitoring. That way I'm not adding in more sound back into the environment that I am monitoring. But after the show is over, after the service is over, and I'm sitting and I'm listening back to the performance and to the service, and I'm checking to make sure that it sounded okay, these do that job. I can monitor back in that way. As far as for mixing and mastering, even though I'm not the most experienced in that regard, these do a good enough job in that regard as well for $75. Now, would they be my first choice? No. But for $75, if that's all I had to spend, then yeah, I would use them in that regard. So, Kiwi Ears, the Ellipse. Great job. This thing is phenomenal. I'm truly in love with it, and I love it for just sitting back and listening to music in a very neutral and natural presentation here at the home. It reveals everything that I need, and it tells me what's going on with my different gear that I'm hearing, and all that I can just enjoy the tracks. So the Kiwi Ears Ellipse. It's a neutral, natural, open back, dynamic headphone that I truly enjoy and highly recommend. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on the screen, subscription links and notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video, and check out all the links down below. There's all kinds of information down there regarding how you can contact channel, follow channel, support channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, listed down below, there's all kinds of ways that you can support the channel. One-time gifts with PayPal or Venmo, or monthly subscriptions with Patreon and YouTube memberships. And you can get early access to videos through the monthly subscriptions. I want to thank my supporters through Patreon, YouTube, and PayPal, one-time gifts, monthly subscriptions. Thank you very much for all that you give to the channel. It is much appreciated. If you're interested in supporting the channel, check out the links down below. Also, down below, there's a link to my Discord server. It is open to the public, so if you're interested in contacting, there's all kinds of ways that you can connect through there and talk audio, and there's even some private lounges for those who are YouTube members or Patreon members. Also down below, there's all kinds of other links, gear recommendations, music recommendations, and all kinds of other things listed down below, so don't forget to check out all the links down below. And lastly, don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.